Hello students, I welcome you all to the e-lecture series organized by the Department of Political Science of HPT Arts and RYK Science College. So we are discussing about the topic number 2 of our FYBA Political Science, that is Fundamental Right, Duties and Directive Principle, and this is our second lecture on this topic. And in last lecture, if you remember, we have discussed about some very introductory part of fundamental rights, like what are fundamental rights, why they are important, and we also consider and discuss a very brief outline of fundamental right under Indian Constitution. So today we are going to discuss about the another aspect of fundamental right, that is nature of fundamental right under Indian Constitution. So this will be our topic of discussion for today. Okay, so what you are going to learn in this topic? So here we are going to consider a very single issue, but yet it is very important, and that issue is a nature of fundamental right under Indian Constitution. So as we have already discussed about what is the importance of fundamental right, so understanding its nature will help you in understanding its implications, that is you are also going to get about how these fundamental rights are implemented, what is their scope, and these other aspects we are going to cover in this particular issue. So let's start the discussion on our today's topic. So we already discussed that the fundamental rights are enshrined in part 3 of the Constitution from Article 12 to Article 35 under 6 different categories. Fundamental rights are meant to protect freedom and democracy, and they work as a protective shield against excessive state power. So the nature of fundamental rights can be understood by looking at its scope, execution, and substance. So we already discussed some factual information, like the part 3 of Indian Constitution consists of fundamental right from Article 12 to Article 35, and they are categorized into six different categories. Okay, and so to understand the scope of the nature of fundamental right, we have to consider three important aspects of fundamental right. One is the scope, another is the execution, and the third issue is what we call substance. So now we are going to consider these three issues, and once you understand these three issues, you will get the idea about the nature of fundamental right guaranteed under Indian Constitution. So let's discuss this different aspect of the fundamental right. For example, suppose if you take the first issue, that is the scope of fundamental right. So by scope, what do we mean here, or what we are going to discuss here? So scope generally consists of a discussion on understanding the issues, like for example, to whom the fundamental rights are available. So this is how we can describe the scope. Against whom they are available, that is, we generally say that fundamental rights are for the protection of individual liberty. Okay, but protection from whom and for what? Okay, so these things we are going to consider under the issue of the scope. For whom they can be restricted. Okay, so this is again a very important issue. Can fundamental right be restricted? So this we are also going to consider in this particular issue of the scope. Okay, and where they are directed in the sense that positive and negative. So we are going to discuss what this entire issue is. Okay, so under the issue of scope, we are going to discuss these four aspects of the fundamental rights. Then we come to the second aspect, that is execution, and this is a very important aspect as far as the fundamental rights are concerned, because they deal with the execution of fundamental right. Okay, that is how fundamental rights are executed, and there are different aspects related to this. So here we are going to consider the question like how they are executed, a very basic kind of question, how fundamental rights are executed. Okay, are they justifiable? Is it, or what is the case? So we are going to consider these issues. Okay, next thing we will discuss under this issue is who interpret them. Okay, because as we know that the Constitution of India was adopted in 1949, and similarly the same part, that is of fundamental right, and now we are living in 2020, and this over this year, the entire social, political, economic issues or context has completely changed. Okay, and so there is also the change in the understanding of the this meaning of fundamental right. So who generally interpret the fundamental right? So this issue we are going to consider under the execution. Okay, and very important question, can they be suspended? So this is also the issue related to the execution. And the last point under the nature that we are going to discuss about the substance. So what actually fundamental rights are? This is how we are going to discuss about its substance. So for example, are they absolute or they are restricted? Okay, can they be amended, or there is any procedure prescribed in constitution for making changes in the fundamental right? Okay, are they available outside, or there are any other rights that are available outside of the part 3? Okay, so these issues are we are also going to consider. And can they be expanded? As we know that right now fundamental rights are available under 6 different categories, and in a very specific article. Can they be expanded, and if so, how? So these are the issues that we are going to consider under scope, execution and substance. And once you get the idea about these issues in a very comprehensive way, you will understand the nature of fundamental rights. Okay, so let's come to the very first aspect of nature of fundamental right. That is what we call scope of fundamental rights. Okay, so let's come to the first issue, to whom fundamental rights are available, or to whom fundamental rights are given or guaranteed. Okay, so if you consider this issue, so some fundamental rights or some of the fundamental rights are granted only to citizens, and these rights are addressed to citizens. Okay, so in when you or when we are going to discuss about the fundamental rights article by article, so you will find different kind of concept there. For example, you will find that the concept like citizen and person. Okay, so you will get the idea that some fundamental rights are available to the citizen. So citizen means the legal person who have the legal citizenship of that particular country, that is India. Okay, for example, article 15, 16, 18 or article 19 and 13. So these are the example under fundamental rights which are available only to the citizens. Okay, and then certain fundamental rights are granted to both citizens and aliens. Aliens mean foreigners. Okay, so these fundamental rights are available to citizens and plus to any other person who is not a legal citizen of India. Okay, and these people are addressed as persons. Okay, which includes citizens, foreigners and legal person like corporation or companies. Okay, so as far as the scope of fundamental rights are concerned, and within that to whom they are available, so basically they are available to two kind of entities. Number one, citizens, and number two, persons. Okay, so citizens means those people who have legal citizenship of India. Okay, and person includes citizen plus other foreigners including corporation and companies. Okay, so wherever the word person is used, so you can get the idea that the scope of that particular right is wider, and wherever the word citizen is used, so you can understand that this fundamental right is specifically available to Indian citizens. So this is how you can understand this issue. Okay, and then there are also example article 14, 18, 20 and so on. Okay, so right now you don't bother about these articles to remember. Once we start discussing about fundamental rights or article by article discussion, so you will get the very good idea about this entire contents. Okay, now second issue about the scope of fundamental right is against whom they are available, that is from whom the fundamental right protects, person or citizen. Okay, so all fundamental rights are available against state action. It means for their violation by state, aggrieved person can approach the court. So first of all fundamental rights contained in part 3 of Indian Constitution protects individual liberty and freedom from the encroachment of the state power, okay, for or any kind of state action. And state includes both legislative and executive bodies, okay. And there is also a very specific definition of state given in Indian Constitution, okay. So this is how the fundamental rights protects against the state action, okay. Secondly, certain rights are available both against state and private individuals. Okay, so it is not just that the fundamental rights of any person or citizen are just encroached by the state. So there can be the cases where private individual can also violate the fundamental rights of the person or citizen. Okay, so there are certain fundamental rights available under Indian Constitution that also protect against the private individuals, but they are very specific and very few articles, like article 15 to subsection 2, article 17, article 18 subsection 3 and 4, 23 and 24. So these are the very specific articles which protects against the private individuals also, okay. Article 19 and 21 is also available against private individuals, but for their violation ordinary legal remedy is used and not the constitutional one. So Article 19 and 21 are generally considered as a soul of Indian Constitution or the fundamental right, because they are very important, because they protect liberty and life of the person. So once we start discussion on this, you will know about its importance. So these are also the rights which are available against the individual, but there, if these fundamental rights are violated, so the remedy is different. So we will discuss it in that relevant topic, okay. Now third aspect of the scope of fundamental right is for whom they can be restricted or abrogated, okay. So we generally say that under Indian Constitution people get freedom, liberty, and in different way different kind of freedom and liberty is guaranteed, okay. But is there any provision in Indian Constitution that restrict this fundamental right to special kind of persons, okay. So yes, so there are certain provision under Indian Constitution by which the fundamental rights can be restricted or abrogated for some person, okay. So there are number of reasonable restriction on different fundamental rights, okay. So already there are different reasonable restrictions on fundamental right, we are going to discuss that later on, but they can be specifically restricted or abrogated for members of number 1 armed forces, number 2 paramilitary forces, number 3 police forces, intelligence agencies, telecommunication system associated with above forces and agencies. So if you consider the nature of their job, so most of them are related to security of the nation and very sensitive kind of thing, okay. So in these particular cases, their fundamental rights can be restricted. For example, like fundamental right of free speech and expression, okay. So they cannot openly use that kind of freedom because of certain kind of responsibility that they have upon them, okay. So these are the class of people for which the fundamental right can be restricted. For example, under Article 33 within Part 3 of Indian Constitution, only Parliament of India can do so by law. So Parliament of India has a power to enact any law that restrict the freedom of this particular kind of people, okay. So this is how the fundamental right can be specifically restricted, okay. And then we come to the last issue of about the scope, and this is private versus negative rights. That is how the fundamental rights are directed. So directed in a way whether they are positively directed or negatively directed. This is what we call positive and negative rights, okay. For example, some of the fundamental rights are negatively worded as they act as a prohibition to the state. So in wherever there is a word like prohibition, so you can understand this is a negative kind of right, because it prohibits state or private individual from doing something. That's why it is called as a negative right. Then you also have example like Article 14 and so on, okay. Certain fundamental rights are positive rights in a sense that they confer some benefits upon the individual. So these fundamental rights like positive in a sense that they confer certain positive benefits, that is they actually do not prohibit, okay, so they simply grant a kind of wider freedom by which the individual can take the action. In that sense, these are called as a positive rights. For example, article 25, 26, 29 and 30 are generally considered as a positive right. So negative right and positive right, so these are the two issues which can give you idea about the direction of fundamental rights. Okay, so this is how we can discuss the scope of fundamental right under four different issues. Okay, then we come to the next aspect of the nature of fundamental right. This is what we call execution, that is how they are executed. So let's come to the first issue, how fundamental rights are executed. This is a very interesting thing. So for this point, most of the fundamental rights are self-executory. It means they can be directly executed and do not require enacting separate law for their execution. This is what we call self-executory fundamental rights. It simply means that once they are inserted in Indian Constitution, they have automatic execution. So no separate law is required for their execution. Okay, and few fundamental rights are non-self-executory in a sense that they require enacting separate law for their execution. So as far as the execution is concerned, self-executory and non-self-executory, these are the two categories of fundamental right. So non-self-executory fundamental right are those right which require special law for their implementation. Okay, like article 16 subsection 3, 17, 21A and so on. These are the example of non-self-executory kind of rights which require special law passed by the parliament. Okay, and here remember that for the execution of fundamental right, only Parliament of India can enact such law under Article 35. So state government or state legislature cannot enact such law, that is this power is given exclusively to the Parliament of India. So this is how fundamental rights are executed. And it also include prescribing punishment, that is the power to enact law. It also means that the parliament can also enact such law which prescribe the punishment. Okay, are they justifiable fundamental rights? This is a very important question, and to this the answer is very straightforward. All fundamental rights are guaranteed rights. We know that they are not just empty promises, they are the guaranteed rights in a sense that every person and citizen has a guarantee that this will be available to them. Okay, it means that they can be enforced in a court of law, that is they are enforceable. That is, if there is a violation of fundamental right, then fundamental right can be enforced by the court of law, means through court procedure. Okay, so this aspect makes fundamental right a justifiable right. So why we call fundamental right a justifiable right? If they are violated, you have method or you have remedy to make them enforceable. That is, this is how you can call them as a justifiable right. Under Article 32, right to constitutional remedies, people can move to court for the enforcement of fundamental rights in case of their violation. Suppose if fundamental rights are violated, then people have option of moving to Supreme Court, or they can also move to High Court. Okay, and Supreme Court can issue appropriate writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights. So we will discuss this in Article 32, what is the meaning of writs and all those things. Okay, so this is how we can say that fundamental rights are justifiable. Next issue is who interpret them, because the interpretation is very important aspect of fundamental right, because there are number of times this happen that where there is a question of understanding the meaning of particular fundamental right. Okay, so who interpret fundamental right? So let's come to this issue. Okay, the Supreme Court has a power to interpret Constitution of India, including the fundamental rights. So it is a court and particularly Supreme Court, who has a power to interpret Constitution of India, which also mean that they have power to interpret the fundamental rights. Interpretation of fundamental right is a very important legal process to understand its nature, provide protection, and decide of any excess of state power. So you will find number of example where there is a different cases came before the Supreme Court, and they mostly involve interpreting the nature of particular fundamental right. Okay, so this is how this power is given to Supreme Court. Okay, so and Supreme Court apply different kind of approaches for interpreting the fundamental, like for example textual analysis, that is they try to read the literal meaning of particular fundamental right in a legal sense. Then founding members intention, that is why founding members has inserted this particular fundamental, what was the intention behind that. And then there are typical some legal thing like procedure established by law, due process, basic structure, and these are the some method by which the fundamental rights are interpreted by the Supreme Court. So this is how the Supreme Court has a right to interpret the fundamental rights. And then we come to the last issue of execution of fundamental right. Can they be suspended? So this is very important question. Is there any instance or is there any provision in Indian Constitution by which the fundamental right can be suspended? Suspended means for that particular period fundamental rights are available, and to this the answer is yes. There are provision in Indian Constitution by which the fundamental rights can be suspended. So what are these provision related to this aspect? Let's discuss about this. Okay, so first of all, if you consider this, there are certain provisions in Indian Constitution by which the fundamental rights can be suspended. So fundamental rights can be suspended during the operation of national emergency. So there is a one provision in Indian Constitution called as national emergency. Detailed provision in this regard are made in Article 358 and 359, which deals with the imposition of national emergency and state emergency. Okay, but right guaranteed by Article 21 and 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. So the right guaranteed by Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended under any condition, whether it is a normal times or emergency times. Okay, right under Article 19 can be suspended only when emergency is declared on the grounds of war or external aggression and not on the ground of armed rebellion. So when the President of India declares national emergency, so there are certain reasons for this. The typical reason can be a war or external aggression, and sometimes also what we call internal security situation. Suppose there is any armed rebellion, or there are within India there are certain groups who threaten the national security. So in that case this can be emergency can be imposed. Okay, so under such situation Article 19 can only be suspended when there is an emergency declared on the grounds of war and external aggression and not on the basis of armed rebellion. Okay, so this is one thing that we need to understand. So this is how the fundamental rights can be suspended. And let's come to the last point of nature of fundamental right, that is substance of fundamental rights. Okay, so are they absolute? Okay, or absolute in the sense that you can use them freely or in a way that you want them to use. Okay, so this is not the case, because if you consider the nature of any right, so no right can be absolute. Okay, and there are various qualifications for its operation. So no right can be absolute in a sense that there are always some restriction on the right considering the social interest. So same is applicable to fundamental right also. So likewise fundamental right are also qualified by different reasonable restrictions. So there are different reasonable restriction on fundamental rights also. Okay, so the word reasonable restriction is very important. These restrictions are placed in order to maintain balance between individual and collective interest. Okay, so these fundamental or reasonable restrictions are to have specific purpose to maintain the balance between individual and collective interest. And what are the grounds under which the fundamental rights can be restricted. So I just give you a very summary list or summary details of this. For example, sovereignty of India, security and integrity of India, public order, decency, morality, defamation, contempt of court, public health. So these are the certain grounds on the basis of which a fundamental right of the person can be restricted. Okay, so this is how you can say that fundamental rights are not basically absolute. Then come to the next issue, very important. Can they be amended? Amended means there is any chance of making changes in the fundamental right? And yes, under Article 368 of Indian Constitution, Parliament of India can amend the Constitution. So who amends the Constitution of India? It is only the Parliament of India, not the Supreme Court, nor even the state legislature. It is just the Parliament of India, and it also includes Part 3 of Indian Constitution. So Parliament can amend the Constitution. It also means that it also includes the Part 3, which contains the fundamental right. By amending Constitution, Parliament can modify contents of fundamental right, like changing its wording or imposing certain restrictions. So making changes in fundamental right have different meaning, like some fundamental rights can be replaced, some can be repealed. So, the wording of some fundamental rights can be changed, or a new restriction is imposed. So these are different way by which fundamental right can be amended. But this power of Parliament is not absolute. We need to understand this. And it can be amended up to such an extent where there will be no harm to the basic structure. Okay, so power of Parliament to amend the Constitution, including fundamental right, is very limited kind of power. It is not absolute power, and it is subject to a very important doctrine called as basic structure doctrine. That is, by amending fundamental right, the Parliament of India cannot change the basic structures of our fundamental right or even the Constitution. Okay, so this is how you can understand the issue of amendability. So we will discuss this when we discuss in the fourth topic about the amendment procedure. Okay, are they available outside? It means that if we consider the fundamental right, so we know that the fundamental right are contained in Part 3 of our Indian Constitution. Okay, so does it mean that beyond that part or beyond Constitution no fundamental rights are available? So answer is that, so fundamental rights given under Indian Constitution are enumerated, which means there is an exhaustive list. So it simply means that whatever fundamental rights guaranteed by Indian Constitution are completely enumerated. That is, enumerated means that there is a complete list. Okay, and only up to that extent fundamental rights are available. Okay, so out of that list other fundamental rights are not available. This is what we call exhaustive list. Okay, for example, if you take the example of United Kingdom, so in United Kingdom fundamental rights are not enumerated because there is no written constitution in United Kingdom, and so there is no list of which fundamental rights are available, and it is based on principle of everything is permitted which is not prohibited. Okay, so this is example of non-enumerated fundamental rights. But in India the fundamental rights are completely enumerated, and beyond that list no other fundamental rights are available. Okay, but outside of Part 3 some other legal rights are available, but they are not fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are only contained in Part 3, but out of Part 3 some other legal rights are also available. For example, no tax without law. This is a very basic principle of any governance which is contained in Article 265. Right to property, which was earlier fundamental right, but after 44th constitutional amendment now it is a legal right under Article 300A. And freedom of trade or commerce, this is contained in Article 301. So these are the certain fundamental rights which are available within Constitution but outside Part 3. But outside Constitution no other fundamental rights are available. So this you need to understand. And then we come to the last issue: can they be expanded without amendment? Expanded means, can their scope, their content or their application be expanded without amendment? Okay, so this is a very technically important question. So to understand this, look, technically to expand part 3 of Indian Constitution, it requires to make amendment which is the sole right of parliament. So technically speaking, okay, so to expand the fundamental right or part 3 of Indian Constitution, or expand, or you can also say the opposite if you want to reduce it. So technically you need to do the amendment, and that is the sole right of the parliament. Okay, so this means that yes, without amendment fundamental rights cannot be expanded. Okay, so this is very clear. So without amendment fundamental rights cannot be expanded. This is the point, is very clear. But their ambit can be expanded by giving broad meaning to its interpretation. Okay, it simply means that the parliament has a power to alter a particular article or section in a fundamental right, but the meaning of that particular article can be expanded by its broad interpretation, and this is also the another way of expanding the fundamental right. Okay, and this can be done through judiciary. Okay, so for example, if you consider a particular article, okay, so this is how it is defined in constitution, but when judiciary interpret that particular article, so sometimes they can also expand its meaning, and that automatically give wider implication to the fundamental right. So this is another way by which judiciary can expand the fundamental right. Okay, one example, very interesting example, is recently Supreme Court in Aadhaar case ruled that right to privacy is a fundamental right. So basically, right to privacy is not as such is mentioned in Constitution of India, but under Article 21, the Supreme Court has ruled that it is also the part of this right to privacy. Okay, so this issue we are going to consider in Article 21. Okay, so this is how the fundamental rights can be expanded. So this is how you can understand the substance of fundamental rights. Okay, and let's come to the last section of this discussion, a very quick recap, because we today had a very lengthy kind of discussion. So I think the quick recap is very much important. So what we discussed today, so we discussed that the nature of fundamental rights can be understood by looking at its scope, execution and substance. Second thing we discussed that fundamental rights are available to citizen and person. So we discussed this thing. They are both positive and negative and are available against the state and in some cases against the private individuals. Okay. Fundamental rights are justifiable but subject to reasonable restriction. They can be amended by parliament without harming its basic structure, but its meaning can be expanded by broad judicial interpretation. So this issue we discussed, and lastly we discussed that they can be restricted, abrogated or suspended under special circumstances. So these are the issues we discussed today. In next lecture you will learn about Article 12 and Article 30 and right to equality. This will be the first part of right to equality, and so on. We will start discussion on different aspects. Till then, thank you.